Keeping all of the checks, reconcile differences. Keeping all of the checks, reconcile differences. Keeping all of the checks, reconcile.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Truth Reveal podcast, where we host conversations that relate, reveal truth, and that ultimately lead to reconciliation. I am your host today, Holly Harris, and I'm joined by my co-host, Shanita Street.
Hey y'all.
And Latricia, aka Sweet Peak.
What's up?
All right. Well, today we want to talk about a conversation that has been all the rage on the internet in Christendom, and not just this week. I think it started a few weeks ago. Pertaining to gospel music and its relevance and whether or not it's dying, all of the things. And so we wanted to definitely put our 2 cents into this conversation today. And again, it started with, well, actually, this conversation has been going on for a long time, but recently it came back up initially through the whole Glorilla winning the BET, what was it, the Bobby Jones Gospel
I think so.
Award? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
At the BET Awards, there was definitely an uproar war as it relates to her winning the award, given the fact that she is not a gospel artist. And so many in the gospel community began to speak out because they felt, in essence, disrespected because they were not one of them, one of our own, in essence, were not chosen for the award, but someone outside of the community. And then recently, there was a very controversial episode or interview that was conducted by Isaac Caree. He has a new podcast, which is pretty good, I would
Mhm.
say. And he's had, I think that's how you say his name. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but he is an executive who is praised for Maverick City success. He came on board with two other executives, and since his arrival and his working with Maverick City, they have definitely taken gospel music by storm. They have sold all of the albums and they have toured all of the cities. So, but on that episode, he said some very controversial things as it relates to gospel music, how it's not working. You know, it's just a lot that was said. We're going to get into all of that. But before we get into the conversation, I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the history of gospel music to kind of bring us up to this point. Gospel music is a mix of our musical expressions that we brought from Africa, you know, around, you know, slavery time. Many of, you know, the Africans were not able to practice their own religion, their own musical expressions, and many were converted to Christianity. And in doing so, of course, we began, just because that's who we are, we're creative by nature, we begin to establish this genre. And initially it started out with our musical expressions, again, that we brought from Africa, the European hymn tradition. So we borrowed, you know, some things from that. From the hymns that we were learning when we came over here, and then as well as field songs. All of this became what eventually morphed into gospel music. First, it was spirituals, which, of course, when it came to the African American church experience, it was like the call and response. I remember going to Luke Missionary Baptist Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think it was the first time I was ever exposed to call and response, because I grew up in Church of God of Prophecy, which was a multicultural denomination. So we sang hymnals from the book, you know, that's, so I knew hymnals and different things of that nature, but I didn't really know a lot about call and response. And man, I will never forget it. Just when I say the Spirit of God, no music, no, just clapping of the hands, just foot stomping. when I say the spirit of God moved in that place, and them people, what you that sweet?
I don't remember.
Oh my
Whose church
goodness.
was that?
I think it was Luke Missionary Baptist Church, but I
Who,
can't remember if it was
like, who's from the
somewhere.
choir?
Gosh, girl, I can't even remember. All I remember is that song, God moves
Who's
in a
in
mysterious
mysterious
way.
way?
Oh my
Yeah,
God. And then the guy, he was saying his little verse, and then they would come behind him.
they're called
Oh,
metered hymns.
okay, okay. Yeah. So when I, was reading up on, the history to kind of get refreshed, that it brought that to mind. And so again, that eventually led into gospel music. Some of our early pioneers was, of course, Thomas Dorsey, which is coined as being the father of gospel music, and he was instrumental in mixing jazz and blues and with gospel. And then we have Charles Tinley. He was one who created like some of our staple hymns that were back in the I'm trying to remember what was one of the hymns. Oh my goodness, oh Jesus. Oh, he wrote "We Shall
Nothing but
Overcome."
leave it there. I have found at last Savior stand by me. Will understand it better by and by.
By and
Yeah,
by,
that
ooh,
was it.
by
We'll
and by,
understand
when the
it
morning
better
comes.
by and by. So yeah. So he wrote some of those staple hymns, and then we move into Sister Rebecca
Better.
Rosetta Tharpe, when she was the first successful gospel recording artist and the pioneer of rock and roll, which is interesting, and the pioneer of rock and roll in essence when it comes to guitar solos. She was the first to use like an electric guitar and do like the guitar solos, and so she influenced a lot of the early rock and roll artists, and she
Wow.
was she was inducted literally into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of her influence. She was the first to cross over with her gospel music. And so she was really interesting. As I'm like, okay, a woman, go ahead now. And then of course you have Mahalia Jackson. She, of course, was a successful recording artist, and she became the sound of the civil rights movement. So those are just some of our early influences, and then you morph into people like Aretha Franklin and Sam Cooke, and when it goes into like R&B. And so gospel music really influenced a lot of the music you hear now. Even when you talk about even current icons, or pop artists, R&B artists, a lot of them got their start in the church singing gospel music.
Yeah.
And so let it be said, gospel music definitely has a strong foundation. But again, we want to get into this conversation, because it had a strong foundation, but many are saying in recent years, well, according to this exec, and maybe a lot of people that he's surrounded by that think the same way, that gospel music is stale, that it's dying, all of the things. And so I want to get the conversation started, first of all, with the whole, before we even get into the Isaac Caree interview. How did you guys feel when Glorilla won the award for gospel music?
I'll let you answer first, sweet.
Oh, um, I didn't watch the BET Awards, so I didn't know what had taken place until I just, happened to go on Facebook and I saw all the ranting and raving
Ranting and
about it, and
raving.
then I had to go do the research. I think for me, I was a little confused just about, and maybe this is just my own ignorance. I thought because it was the Bobby Jones Gospel Award that it would have went to a Christian or a gospel artist. So I think that was like the main thing that I was more so confused about. Um, and not knowing what the standard or the criteria was by which you would win the award. I don't
Hmm.
think I was completely invested as much as I was just had questions about her, being that she's a rap artist and um, that she won the award.
Yeah. I, like Sweet, did not watch the BET Awards, and so I did not know until that it was an issue until everyone said it was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial thought when I found out it was the Bobby Jones Award, let's be clear about the fact that Bobby Jones was a pillar, a staple in the
Mm-hmm.
gospel music industry. He
Mm-hmm.
gave a lot of gospel
Every,
artists the
yes,
platform
yeah,
to be presented to the world on one of the longest running, if not the longest running, show, syndicated
Mm-hmm.
show,
Yeah.
in the world, maybe, I think. And I could
Mm-hmm.
be quoting that wrong, but I think that's a correct statement. So I think there's significance in who should be getting that award. The other thing is I, like Sweet, did not know the criteria for being able to win this award.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know she had a song, a gospel song,
either,
that was worthy
yeah,
of getting the
right.
award.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the third thing. So I was a little bit confused, like, wait, what gospel song did she do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And clearly, a lot of people, not just myself, but a lot of people didn't know she had a gospel song. So it makes you question, how did she get it? Because it's not clearly by popularity. I don't know what system they chose or what they
Mm-hmm.
used in order to select the person who was honored with that award.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
those of us who listen to gospel, I'll just say a lot of people probably wouldn't have voted for her because
Mm-hmm.
they don't know. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know, and they likely don't listen to the music. And I'm not saying that to minimize what she did or say she's not talented or gifted or the song is not great.
Right.
I don't even know the song.
Mm-hmm.
So
Neither.
I'm just saying, putting everything into perspective, I can see how people were like, what? How?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
just left me with a lot of questions about what was that process for her
Mm-hmm.
to win that award.
Yeah. I know think I was watching, it was either it was one a gospel artist, and they were talking about the process as to which they choose songs is based off of like what was most streamed. Like it's
Okay.
no, they
That's
don't
it. Just
really
popularity mainly.
pretty much they don't
Gotcha.
really think in context of what the artist mostly represents. If they put a song out and they put a gospel label on it and it got the most streams, that's who win. And so at least that was what they were saying. So I'm not sure, how accurate that is, but that's what they were saying, from their point of view. But it's interesting, to have someone who isn't an artist to win. But again, if those are the rules, those are the rules. And I
Yeah.
think the person was saying too that, people have to keep in mind that it is a secular show. It's not the
Yeah.
Stellars. It's,
Yeah.
so they just gonna do whatever is, hot at the time and not really think about who they're gonna offend in the process.
Right.
And
So
that would have been my question. Was it hot at the time?
Well, I think more than it.
I
I
guess
didn't know
so.
the
If it
song. I'm
won
gonna
and
have
had the
to.
most streams, I don't.
But this is not actually like a gospel song of the year. It was the Bobby Jones. So it was a
That's
special honor.
true.
That was my
Hmm.
understanding. And I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm
Let me
wrong.
go to this
But I
right
don't
here.
know that it was like a gospel song of the year, gospel album of the year, or,
Let me see.
you know,
Let me
I
see
just
the
thought it
official
was a
title.
honorable mention for the Bobby Jones gospel. And I could
I
be wrong.
I
Let's
don't.
see.
Again, I didn't watch it, and to be honest, I don't know what the song is either. So I probably need to go and listen to it to see what it was about. Excuse me, but if the
Oh, she got. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish, sweet.
no, I was just saying if the criteria is under the basis of what you just listed, Holly, Gorilla is a very she's very
Okay.
much peaking and not peaking, but she's very much up and coming household name. Her songs are very popular, like her secular songs. I think she's done some collaborations with Rihanna. So it
Mm-hmm.
would not be surprising that if she made a gospel song, it could just be streaming because it's who she is.
And it's saying here that The BET Dr. Bobby Jones Best Gospel Inspiration Award is given to an urban contemporary gospel artist. The winner is determined based on sales and overall quality of content released within the eligibility period. The award was originally titled Best Gospel Artist, but was later renamed to the current title in 2017. So it's based off sales. So she just
Yeah.
sold the most,
Yeah.
which
And then
is,
you
of
think
course, she
about
gonna sell the most because she's
Yeah.
Glorilla. I mean, but
Glorilla.
and was it the song? Was it the album?
I
I
think it was
think
just
it
the
is a
song because
song.
she
Yeah,
didn't have.
because
I don't think the
album
whole
is
album
not
was not
at
gospel.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then the other thing is too, she brought in Maverick City,
the
which
biggest
I'm sure
gospel
was popular.
artist of
So you have
Yeah.
Maverick City and you got Kirk.
exactly. So
She
she, of
Those are
course,
two
she
big
gonna
artists.
win. I
is her
mean,
collaboration. The song was with Maverick City.
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
and
And
okay.
Kurt. Yeah,
And Kirk. Okay. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like two of the main
yeah.
Yeah, so that,
people.
but and that's the thing too. Like when a secular artist wants to make a gospel song, they can't just make one on their own. They have to come and get somebody on board. I've never seen a secular artist other than somebody who has their roots in the gospel church. Somebody who don't
Like
have no
Fantasia.
roots. It's almost like they
Yeah.
have to come get a co-signer because
Yeah.
otherwise,
Fantasia, Kelly,
yeah,
their
those people
roots
can
are
do them on
there.
their
Yeah,
own.
they can
You
do it
know.
on their own. But
Yeah.
everybody else, Will got
Mhm.
who did Will get?
Jennifer Hudson.
Will got Maverick. Snoop
Yeah.
had everybody on
Mhm.
his album.
Exactly.
Shirley Caesar, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody. So yeah,
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. So, and which is interesting when it comes to, and we're going to get into the interview in just a minute, when it comes to gospel music's relevancy. Like, if it isn't relevant, why are all these R&B rap artists wanting to do gospel songs? What
Yeah,
when they
maybe they
already have an audience?
platform. Yeah,
Here's what
Why? Oh, why?
I've noticed, it is relevant
yeah,
because
very
Yeah.
you
much.
hear secular artists doing interviews and people ask them, what do you listen to when you are going through or
Come
when you're
on.
working out? And you start hearing people throw out Fred Hammond,
Yeah,
Yes.
Yolanda Adams, Hezekiah
Mhm.
Walker, John P. Key, Kim Burrell. They are listening to gospel music. It
yeah.
is
Clark
Exactly.
sisters.
what has the Clark sisters,
Mhm.
especially the
Come
Clark
on.
sisters.
Yeah,
There is a foundation that that gospel music has laid for all artists
Exactly.
and non-artists.
Mhm.
People just know that is a type of music that encourages people and lifts people up and
Yeah.
helps you to process what you're going through and return
Mhm.
back to God and be able to focus on him so that you can get through whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
People listen to it when they're working out, so
Exactly.
it's relevant.
Mhm.
It's very relevant.
and I just saw something. This was about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw it. Solange Knowles was paying homage to the Clark sisters. I don't know if it wasn't just the Clark sisters only, but she basically was paying homage to different women and like their influence in their own perspective places. And she brought in the Clark sisters to like just give them their flowers and honor.
Yeah.
And so I think that says a lot,
Mhm.
you know.
And then even adding to that on the musician standpoint, like I remember Jermaine Dupri making a comment as it relates to church and
Yeah.
musicianship, and that the reason why these musicians, I guess that he had been encountering, didn't have the level of musicianship is because a lot of them are no longer going through the church
Yeah.
to get their skills developed, and so it's like. Yeah, this thing, gospel music is the
Yeah.
thing, is a big thing.
It has a ripple effect.
Exactly.
does.
Exactly. So, but yeah, well, with that being said, let's get into more of the interview with Isaac Caree and this executive because it brought up many a conversation and many a angry people. Okay. So,
They was
well,
mad.
honey,
They
come
was
on.
big mad.
For real. Okay. Yeah, first of all, when he said he was a Trump supporter, bless his heart, a lot of people were saying they didn't even
He
finish
lost
the
his
interview.
head.
They wrote him off.
He was done.
They didn't even listen to, the whole interview. They was like, I couldn't do it. After the clips, the clip too. What did y'all think about the clip
It was
introducing the actual episode?
it
So I
was oh
go ahead.
go ahead, Shanita.
So I think what was, and this is just my take,
Mm-hmm.
what I think it was intended to do is catch people's attention.
Honey, for real.
That's what you want. You want to highlight the thing
Clickbait.
that's going to
Yeah.
grab people's attention and make them want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
However, what was being said was so um
Girl.
I don't even know the
Visceral.
word to use. It was just controversial
Honey.
to the point that it touched people in a way that they couldn't come back from. It was like they didn't even want to see it. They didn't care. The clips
Girl.
alone made them make a judgment without even seeing the full interview.
Yeah.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think it worked against
Mm-hmm.
maybe what was intended to do, which is
Yeah.
why you have to be careful with what you post because it can
Exactly.
kill what you're attempting to do. So to a
Yeah.
degree, I think that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does have people talking. So it did stir up something.
It did.
I also feel like, we're all familiar with the social media world, so we all know what clickbait is.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I agree with you, Shanita. The whole purpose of clickbait is to bait you in. And
Yeah.
I think what happened with this clip, why it had the reverse effect, is that there was too much in one clip.
Girl.
Had he did maybe one or two things,
Yeah.
gospel music is still, I would have completely left out the Trump supporter part because
Exactly.
some people just didn't
They
even
didn't
click
watch
on
it.
it because of that.
Yeah.
If he had said gospel music is stale and what, white people get it, that might would have brought some people to buy in. Because
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I actually listened to the whole clip. Now
Yeah.
I first thought someone sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And before I didn't know all what was going on, someone sent the clickbait clip. And I was like, huh. And I was like, have you listened to the whole thing? And the person said, no, I haven't listened to it. And so, Holly sent us the full episode. And I did listen to the full episode. And I thought to myself, wow, people are going ham
Honey, when I
on
say
the
ham.
clickbait. I'm pretty sure they didn't listen to the fullness of what he had to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Like when I first saw it, I was like, how arrogant. I mean, that was my first
Right.
thought, because it was like all the worst things that he said in the interview were pieced together. It was like, well, daggum. Like, and to be someone who looks like you saying those things coming out of his mouth, I think that was even the more of a shock, for people, and folks was just like, I ain't even gonna watch it, but they
It's
was going
almost
ham on
like
him.
when you, based off of how people have responded, reacted, and commented, it's almost like what they heard was this: I hate black people and I hate gospel music.
Right, that's it.
Exactly.
That's
That's
exactly
what
what
they
they
heard.
heard.
Come on.
That's what it
So,
filtered to.
Yeah.
yes, at the end of the day, that is exactly what people heard. And it opened up a conversation. However, I don't know. And he may not feel like it's something for him to come back from because he said he doesn't care that people, know that
Yeah.
he supports Trump, which that's his business to
It is.
follow who he wants to follow or support. However, once you put it out there, in this day and age, we have this cancel culture.
Come on.
Oh, he's been canceled. They are trying to cancel him.
Girl.
So it's a domino effect because then you have, although he did not found Maverick City,
He did not.
he's associated with them in a
Yeah.
major way. And I
He's
think maybe Todd Galbraith as well, if
He's
I
a-
understand correctly.
Has come on to it.
he's
Yeah,
the
to
I
tribal.
think he's the CEO of Tribal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and there are other artists that they are now
I think Kirk is a part too
of
in
Tribal.
some capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's growing. So now, as an artist, you have to ask yourself, do I want to be associated with this?
Yeah.
Because you are going to be associated.
And I
And that
think,
and oh, go ahead, sweet. Go ahead,
no, no,
Josh.
I don't want to. I think you're about to say the same thing, so I want to let you.
Oh, I was just gonna say many, like when you're talking about that, the artists, that are coming in, many were calling him Thanos. Collecting artists and making it so that everyone has to go through him. And he
Infinity
basically,
Stones.
yeah, and he basically was saying, eventually, well, he's wanting to do that. One of the reasons is for quality control, because he made the statement that most of the music out is not good and people don't know how to market it. And so this is basically his way of fixing the industry, is creating this infrastructure to where he has this collaboration going on, to where almost like he's like, you can't lose. If you go through me, you can't lose. We got everything in house. One of the things he said, you crazy if you don't want to work with us, was one of the
Yeah.
statements that he made. And so what do you guys think about this whole idea of this gatekeeping mentality, and do you think it's problematic? Because we've seen this for a while, but just on a compartmentalized, like you've always had gatekeepers, but they haven't been all in one house. So what do you guys think about that, this whole gatekeeping mentality, in order to contain the quality of music that comes through gospel?
I don't know. That is what I'm still processing out.
Mm-hmm.
When we start to say people want to control, maybe that's a trigger word for me,
Mm.
because I think it comes off as dominating.
Mm-hmm.
What I do appreciate about being able to hear different artists is variation and diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you filter things through the same space, things start to resemble and sound the same.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, it's a monopoly in so many ways. If you have one cable company that dominates where you live, you don't
Mm-hmm.
really, there's no competition. Not that this is a competition, but there's no competition. There's no diversification. There's no, um, it doesn't push you to grow. It doesn't push the other company to grow. So you
Mm.
only do one thing one way all the time. So that's my concern. Would we learn, or would we lose, not learn, would we lose the diversity and the individuality that comes along
Mm.
with some of these artists if one company controls
That's
everything is
good.
filtered through that same funnel? That's one of my concerns.
And how they think it should sound, and
Sounds right.
how. So I see your point. Yeah,
I think
that's
to
good.
answer your question, Shanita, I think that would be an emphatic yes. And I think that yes is really based off what Mr. Norman has already released, to say that there is a certain sound, there is a certain way that the songs are to be communicated and conveyed. And if you watch I'm gonna say this, if you have not, if you're watching this podcast when we air it and you have not actually watched the full hour-long interview, please go back and watch that for
Mm-hmm.
context. But one of the things that he did mention was that he took these Black creatives, these
Mm-hmm.
super talented, these people can sing.
Yeah.
Chandler with his little husky voice can
Mm-hmm.
sing the paint off the walls. Dante Bowe, Naomi
Naomi
Yeah,
Rain.
Rain. These are
exactly.
excellent
Mm-hmm.
creatives and artists in their own right
Mm-hmm.
individually. And then you bring them together, you have no choice but to have a powerhouse collaboration. But when you say, one of the things that he did mention was he had white writers, white producers,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically was like, tone it. I'm paraphrasing, but tone it down. Cut
Mm-hmm.
out all the runs, cut out all the quote unquote hard singing, and sing it straight.
Mm-hmm.
And if to your point, Shanita, if we're going to go through that funnel, it may be safe to believe that that would be the expectation for everyone coming through the funnel.
Yes.
And that automatically takes away the diversity of the sound.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's
yeah.
good. I
Because part of the gospel experience is the expression. It is the run. It is
Exactly.
the drive.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is the parts, the multi parts, the different, you
Exactly.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Is okay, we're gonna sing this first four words in unison. We're gonna split on the fifth, we're gonna come in
Yep.
like it's the
Exactly.
Yeah.
musicality of it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
Exactly.
is
And
Yeah.
what makes it what
yeah.
it is.
Exactly. And I completely agree with that when it comes to that whole piece of diversity being lost and everybody sounding the same. And that kind of brings, when you're talking about the runs, that was one of the other things that he said. He said that gospel artists do too much, that singable songs equal hits. Like people have to be able to feel as though they can sing to your music. And so that was interesting because there has been some clapback. Somebody even made a shirt said
Yeah. Not the
that
things like
said I sing hard and do runs. It was 100. They capitalizing off the moment, and I ain't mad at it either. But you're right, like that part of expression, and it's interesting. It's like, where did that thought come from? That, and I understand to a certain extent when it comes to praise and worship music, when your ministry
Mhm.
is directed towards worshiping God, which all of it is. But if you're just singing like a selection that's talking about life where you're inserting God, I don't see the problem with the runs. Even during the worship experience, there is a way to tastefully apply runs,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
when you're singing a worship song. I've even heard Chandler do it.
Yeah.
He's done
I
like
thought the same thing.
and it's a tasteful run
Right.
within a CCM song. And so I don't know where, I guess, what's the question I'm trying to ask? Do you think that gospel artists do too much, first of all, when it comes to the whole running situation? And then secondly, I'm trying to pinpoint where this idea comes from that runs are bad.
Yes, we do too much, and that's crazy gospel.
Because we
Listen,
extra.
Exactly.
that's part of the cultural context
Yeah,
of the music.
Vocal
So,
acrobatics.
prime
exactly.
example, Kim Burrell. I don't I don't know what the last thing that Kim Burrell produced as far as album wise. I know she may have maybe released a single a couple of years ago, but album wise, I think it's been a minute since she's produced like a album, a
Hmm.
collection of her work. But baby, Kim stay booked.
Honey, my
Kim
gosh.
stay on the internet singing at
Yeah.
somebody's church, somebody's
Exactly.
this, somebody's that, and she is known within this gospel culture as the running queen.
Hmm.
Her
Yeah.
voice cannot be mimicked, and people often try to imitate it.
Yeah.
Like she is the standard for how to do a run.
Mm.
People singing her stuff every day, trying to mimic her stuff, and that's from Christian uh to secular.
Mhm.
Exactly.
What's her name? Brandy,
Mm.
Beyonce.
Yes, sir.
They all herald Kim
Come
Yeah.
on.
as a standard.
Brandy
So
was trained by Kim.
by
Oh, come
Kim.
on,
And so
somebody.
I think to say that it's too much,
Yeah.
I think it's very evident that that is not something that has probably come from within culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we enjoy that. We look forward to it.
Hmm.
Even when I think about praise and worship, and I think about Ty Galbraith. Ty Galbraith is one of my favorite praise and worship
Hmm.
leaders, and he's from this area. Shout out Ty. Um, and people like Bree Babineau, she does praise and
Yeah.
worship.
Yeah.
Um, Miranda Curtis, she
Yes,
does
sir.
praise and
One of
Oh.
my
Tasha
favorites.
Yes.
Tasha Cobbs and my girl from Potter's House. I don't remember her name, but she was at
Candy
one of the
West.
houses when we
Oh,
went
yeah.
to, and I said she
Can,
was one of my favorites.
Candy West or
I don't remember her name, but she
oh
does a lot of runs,
Hmm.
and I mean, she put the stank on her runs.
Hmm.
So it is something that when you appreciate vocals, you appreciate that type of thing.
Exactly.
Are there people
Exactly.
who overdo it? For sure.
Yeah.
They can leave some stuff out. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the person who is trained or learned in the music, they do, it's like it's an art. And it's an art
Yes.
so much that other cultures have attempted to do it and actually do it as well. So
Yep.
if it were not something that was desirable to
Mhm.
the ear of people, others would not do it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
everybody these days is ripping and running the scale.
Ripping and
Come on.
running the scale.
Exactly.
Ripping and running the scale.
They
So
have challenges.
yeah,
Exactly.
so it's a thing. It's a part of the it's a part of
It
the
is.
musical culture and
Mhm.
the thumbprint. Gospel music has a thumbprint in pop culture,
Mhm.
in country music. Everywhere you look, you will find the influence of gospel music. You just
Yeah.
can't avoid it. It's unavoidable. And I think, yes, we do the most, but we
Mhm.
love
Come
doing the
on.
most and we do the most well. So
Exactly.
yes, we do.
And that's the thing. I think that it's like getting back to a place where we don't see anything wrong with it. I think we've allowed, other influences to say y'all too much in general. Black people too much, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. Everything we do is colorful. That's
Yeah.
just, we're a colorful people. You ever seen our clothes in Africa? Like we're made to stand out. We're just not the types. We're just culturally have not been the types to fit in. And when we do that, we end up dumbing down our creativity. And I think too, and I'm gonna say this might be, I think that this phenomenon that runs are bad was started by people who mad that they can't do it.
Mm,
And as a result, it's make those who can feel bad about it. We want y'all to sound like us because when you sound different from us, then you actually, I don't know, make us look bad. I don't know. I mean, I might be stepping out there, but this is for those who don't appreciate what each culture brings to the table. And I think that, like you said, I don't know if it was you, Sweet, or you, Shanita, some of them do it too, and they do it well. If it was something that was not desirable, why are other people desiring to do it?
Yeah.
And so come on, that Joker can sing.
Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah, but
Yeba, yes.
oh yeah,
Yeba.
yeah.
she
Girl, she can
she
sing.
she sound and this is no slight towards Yeba because like you said, if you guys don't know who she is, check out her music. She's a phenomenal,
Girl.
phenomenal vocalist.
And she good and
But
white.
and
And I
she's
love
good
her.
in white.
She
And I think
is
the
good.
thing I remember somebody saying something about Yeba, like, oh my gosh, she's whatever, whatever. And I said, she's all of that. I said, but you know what? There are so many Yebas in the black church on any given
Girl,
Sunday.
this
You
is
just
true.
don't know them.
Exactly.
They're not mainstream. You haven't
Yeah.
heard them.
Yeah.
And that's not to take away from her musicality because she's phenomenal. But it's sometimes when our Caucasian brothers and sisters do have that sound, they're heralded in a place
It's
above.
true. They
And
are.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
minimizing her status because she's phenomenal. I
Mhm.
totally enjoy her music. But
Yes.
what I am saying is that's common on any given Sunday
Yeah.
in multiple churches across this
Exactly.
country.
Yeah, it
You know,
is.
another reason I think it may have been rejected or is often rejected is because people are not familiar with it. So
Mhm.
sometimes people initially, when they hear something that sounds different than what they're accustomed to, they don't know how to receive it because it's
Exactly.
different.
Yeah.
It's the idea of embracing change because you
Mhm.
think change is wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's wrong, it's just different. I
Yeah.
believe that there are many sounds but one God, and God is
Exactly.
not so limited in how he creates
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
that he would just say, "Oh, I'm going to limit it to sounding just this particular way." No, he's a
Exactly.
God of diversification.
Mhm.
Come on.
You know, he's a
Exactly.
creative God. He's a colorful God. and his mind is so expansive. His ways are higher than our ways. His
Yeah.
thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So when we try to limit what he's capable of,
Come on.
that's very problematic. You
And that's
can't
a,
Mm,
yeah.
you
Go ahead,
can't do
Philly.
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, why does one have to be bad and one good? Why they
Right.
both can't be equally good, but just different
Hmm.
expressions?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's, what it kind of, and I think too, when it comes to gospel music, when it comes to the runs, most of your artists would not sound as good as they do had it not been for people like the Clark sisters. Like,
Yeah.
because listening to their music and trying to duplicate it is a challenge vocally. And
Yeah.
so it challenges you to grow.
Yeah.
Just as
Hmm.
the musicianship does, the vocals challenge you to grow. And so I think there's definitely a place for gospel music in that it's a challenge, and we
Hmm.
need music that challenges us too, not just, music and it's good to have the music that you can sing to that's made for that Sunday morning experience. I get that too. But then when you listening in your car, you might want to listen to Jonathan McReynolds. He had that challenge on his song Cycles. Woo, everybody was doing it, honey.
Yeah.
Stuff that
Right.
challenges you vocally,
Right.
and so yeah, there's definitely room for both.
For
So
sure.
yeah. But okay, well, let's move on here. So when it comes to gospel music and the support, there was a lot of talk on the interview as it relates um to that, the lack of support, that it's dying because people don't want to hear it anymore. Do you think that lack of support has led to this overall lack of appreciation for gospel music and a draw for artists to move towards CCM?
So I think that's a layered and complicated answer. I
Mm-hmm.
think there are different reasons for CCM becoming as popular as it has been.
Mm-hmm.
I do think some of the support has dwindled in gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened with when we went to, like, you saw Bobby Jones go away, you saw video
Mm.
gospel go away,
Yeah.
you saw the shift from the choir to praise and worship.
Mm-hmm.
You saw there were so many different things, and it wasn't that we didn't already have people in place who did the praise and worship, because you think about, I think of Fred Hammond as a pioneer.
Yeah.
Spirit of David, Dance Like David, I don't think that's his song. I think it was recorded by a white artist or written by a white artist, and then he
Mm-hmm.
took it and made it his own. Shannon Wilson, is that her name? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was very popular back in the day. She did praise and worship.
Mm-hmm.
We supported those artists. And I don't know if we have just not kept up with the times as far as modernization, with the shift that happened when we moved into more digital and electronic, or something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we maybe, for lack of other words, the secular arena, or they just have always kept up with
Mm-hmm.
everything when it comes to technology and growth and all of that. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't have the exact answer. There
Mm-hmm.
probably are various reasons, different factors, but we still here. We still love gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, CCM became very popular. This I will say. I know I'm probably all over the place because my thoughts are all over
Oh,
the place
go
with this
ahead.
question. We saw a growth in people shifting to multiracial, multicultural churches
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. I don't know, maybe last 10 years. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe to say. And in that shift, people became more familiar with the sounds of Bethel, Elevation Church. What's the other group that is very popular besides Bethel?
Hillsong.
Hillsong.
And
It
Jesus culture.
for black people, it was like, who was a Hillsong? And then all of a sudden, you became familiar because I'm in a multiracial church. A lot of people became familiar that way, and then it became the norm and the way of life because now we are, what's the word when you're going into a space that's predominantly white and you're taking on?
Are you saying we're in the minority?
Yeah, and we're starting to assimilate into that particular culture. Something happened there where we became more exposed to the CCM type music, but I haven't been able to pinpoint everything that has taken place. I believe it's just a complex thing that is that's happening. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah.
But
That
it's
was a good
complex.
job. Yeah. Sweet.
So ask the question again because it had many parts to it.
Okay. I said, do you think the lack of support has led to the overall lack of appreciation for gospel music and the draw for artists to move towards CCM?
So I don't think that there is a lack of support for gospel music. I don't think that there is a lack of support, and I don't think that because of a lack of support that there has been a draw towards CCM. I do agree, as Shanita has stated, that it's been very layered, and I think Shanita, although she felt like she was all over the place, I think she pretty much did pinpoint the history of the trajectory of when there was a change, because when you think about Spirit of David or Israel Halton, and the Fred Hammonds, those weren't backed by praise teams. They were backed by, Fred had a choir. Israel had, I would say, a praise team plus, because it was more than just your 4 or 6 singers, but maybe an ensemble, and which is a smaller choir. And so when they were hot, they were hot. And the reality is they still are. We're still singing. If you go to a church that has a choir setting,
Yes.
they're still singing 99, 2000s gospel music. Whether that's Fred, Israel. Listen, Alpha and Omega still go hard.
Yes.
Come on.
Like, and so I don't think that we turned our backs, or people turned their backs on gospel music. Now, I don't know, because I'm not an industry exec, and people don't even know my CD is out. But I think that there was a shift from the powers that be and the executives that caused the gospel industry to either assimilate and come up to, or be non-existent. Because, and I think that shift came with praise and worship. And when the praise and worship era came into place, when we transitioned from devotion that was led by the deacons to the praise team and the congregational songs to the praise team, you also started to see a shift in the choir music.
Exactly.
The Ricky Dillard, well, Ricky's still out here making stuff.
Ricky
Ricky ain't going nowhere. But the Ricky Dillers, like, y'all, we all sung in the choir. We killed Donald Lawrence's stuff, Fred Hammond stuff, Kurt Franklin stuff, Hezekiah Walker. What's his name? James Hall.
John P. Key.
John P. Key. Like, that was the staple. And when they stopped making music, we just have to sing their old stuff now.
Yeah.
And we have to sing, now there's been such an emphasis on praise and worship. A lot of churches don't even have choirs.
This is true.
They have a praise team, and that's it. And so I think I heard this from people that were in the industry. And when I say I heard this from people in the industry talking about people, this wasn't secondhand. This is from someone that I know personally that was connected to a major gospel artist and has albums out of their own. And what was stated was that the industry, the conglomerate as a whole said, we're shifting. And in that shift, we're shifting to praise and worship. And so we're shifting away from the choir sound, which is why I think a lot of your choirs, they're probably independent now.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they're on any type of major labels or whatever. I don't follow to that
Everybody used to be
extent.
on Malico.
Yeah.
Honey,
He
honey,
was
they
saying
laughed
Malaco.
trash about Malico in
Girl.
that interview.
I know.
Honey.
Honey,
Isaac said they still owe him money. I said,
they
Lord.
still owe him like
Tell us how
I
you really
said,
feel.
tell us, honey. He is still salty about that. Run him his money. So then
Exactly.
you started seeing what you said, Shanita, the Tasha Cobbs
Mm-hmm.
coming on the scene, the Ty Galbraith, the Shayna. Well, Shayna had always been around, but then she
Yeah.
started coming out more. Cece ain't been nowhere, but Cece's always had crossover
Yeah.
appeal. So like, but you started seeing the Todd Delaney's, people just singing praise and worship
Yeah.
music with an ensemble or
Yeah.
a couple of folk behind them. And then you got away from, I think the last thing that Donald made was this album that had Leandra on it. I
Mm-hmm.
forget what it was called. It wasn't the Prayer Jabez. It was another album after that. But it's been a while.
Yeah.
Now we still singing all his other stuff. Prayer
Yep.
Jabez, Bless Me Indeed,
Yep.
all that.
Yep.
It's
I
still
am.
relevant. I am. The music is still relevant. They just haven't made any music. And my question is, have they not made any music because they have not had the support from the industry?
And I think you just said a mouthful. We're still singing the music, which tells you how relevant gospel music is.
Yeah.
It's timeless.
It is.
Thomas
Timeless.
Dorothy, we're still
Classics.
singing his music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shirley Caesar is, I was about to say, she seemed like she'd been around for 200 years.
She
Well,
do.
she look like she about 20 now.
Right.
She
She
look
looks
young though.
Still look good. He beautified to me. He
good.
beautified to me.
But she's still out here singing.
Out here
Yep.
singing.
Hard too, honey.
Yes.
Come
She's
on.
still out here singing. And that just goes, what's the song she
The
had?
Clark Sisters. When the
Yeah.
last time they made an album? And they just
Them
came
jokers
on tour.
touring.
Like you
Off
said,
the
Got
top of
samples
years
on
ago.
Beyonce album and everything.
it's real. People realize that
Yeah.
there's for one, I believe that for those artists that were making those songs, I do believe they had the oil on them, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Martha
And when you do
Lindsay.
things that are led by God, he puts a stamp on it. It ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere.
It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
I was thinking about our worship team. We were working on song lists or whatever. And I said, y'all, I'm feeling very nostalgic, but I'm okay with that. We're gonna go back and go get some of these old songs and sing them.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the Martha Menunzies and
Oh yes.
like those
Come on here.
songs are classic.
They are.
Say
Yeah.
the name of Jesus.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, the Shekinah glories, will your heart and soul say yes?
Come on.
Yeah.
Like thought-provoking,
Yes.
sobering, like good music that's
Yeah.
old but very
Stand
much
the
still
test of time.
relevant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
That's so good. I think because I think one of the things he was talking about was doing what people wanted to hear, and that what people want to hear is more of that CCM sound. But then I heard you, Sweet, you point out that was one of my questions when it came to industry execs, being the ones who also help to shift that, not just, what the people wanted, but what was put before them was also something that they crafted, what they felt like was the next move of where
Yeah.
music was going. And so my thing is, I feel like when it comes to what people consume and what people desire to hear, they will listen what's being put in front of them. In other words, if something is out of sight, out of mind, like you were saying, Shanita, with the ending of Bobby Jones Gospel, the ending of Video Gospel, the ending of all of these platforms that platform the gospel and put it in people's faces, could that not also be one of the reasons why there's a lack of support, because it's not being put before the people?
Yeah.
What's being
Absolutely.
driven is the CCM sound.
Yeah,
So
because every Sunday before I was going to church, or when I
come
was younger,
on.
my mama was straightening my hair with that
Yep.
hot comb. I was watching Video
Yeah.
Gospel or
Yeah.
Video
Bobby Jones
Yeah.
gospel.
Gospel, and I was seeing, what's her name that sang with Bobby Jones background, Beverly
Beverly, that's
Crawford,
my
Come on now.
girl.
Good
with her
Beverly
shouting
gracious.
shouting
steps.
every Sunday.
You saw her
Shouting.
every Sunday.
Yep.
You
Yes.
saw those
Yep.
women who were
Beverly
singing
Crawford.
background. You
Hmm.
saw the new artists that were. That's how we found out who
Now
was
who was
new,
new?
who was up and
Exactly.
coming.
That's the
Hmm.
other thing too. Like when you go to radio, uh, when it comes to pushing gospel music forward, you don't really hear the new artists. So how can there be an evolution of the gospel sound when the new artist is not championed? When it's
Well,
mainly
one,
still the old stuff, which is good. Can we
yeah,
mix in some new artists with that as well? But go
And I
ahead.
I
think,
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
think
go ahead.
people listen to radio as much.
I
Yeah,
As
don't.
yeah.
you have so many streaming platforms that people can
Hmm.
play what they want to play.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with marketing. If
Hmm.
in order to have great marketing, you have to have good representatives, and you have to have the money to back you up. And a
Hmm.
lot of your
Hmm.
independent artists and people who don't have, great managers or managers who are seasoned and know about how we promote this day and age, they're not going to have that. They don't have the
Yeah.
proper representation. And I think that's how we miss so many great art. There are so many
Girl.
great artists
Hmm.
Very much
that,
so.
that got the oil, that have the vocals and have the skill set. However, they just may not have the money to
And I
push
Hmm.
what they're doing.
And I think to that point, Shanita, this is why I'm very much so advocating for people to go back and listen to the whole interview, because even though I didn't agree with everything that Mr. Norman said, you
He did
make a
say
very
something.
valid
He
point, and
did.
that's one of the points that he made about marketing and
Hmm.
branding
And the
and
infrastructure
and the
is in
infrastructure. And I
place.
do
Yeah.
believe that that is true, that our Caucasian artists did have an infrastructure,
Yeah.
or the Caucasian artist had an infrastructure in Christian and contemporary Christian that may not have been established so much so in gospel. And
Hmm.
I think, his word too, because I think Isaac may have asked about, independent artists, and one of the things that he mentioned was their socials need to be
Yep.
over the
Top
top,
notch.
because you're
Yeah.
gonna have to get your music out, your name out, your brand out in some way, shape, or capacity. And a lot of that has to do with marketing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I don't think that is that people no longer want to hear the choir sound, or that they no longer want to hear gospel. I just think that it was taken away from us
Hmm.
and something else was ushered in.
Mm.
And I was trying to find, because he was talking about how we Black people didn't know, or gospel artists didn't know how to tour. One of the most popular
Mm.
tours that I remember was the Hopeville tour. That was 2004.
The
That
Mm.
Who?
featured Hopeville tour with Yolanda Adams, Kirk Franklin, and Donnie McClurkin.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Mm.
major tour. I went when they came here, and that I remember being a huge tour, and I think it did extremely well. So touring is not new to the gospel industry. John P. Key tours. He's toured for years.
Girl.
Since we were in college, and that was years
Hmm.
ago. Holly know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we know we were partakers, and
Yeah.
New Life. And Holly had the privilege of singing with New Life, and then
Yeah.
we both sang with the church choir.
I think
So,
everybody sung with New Life, but go ahead.
right. So that was something he put into practice a long time ago.
Yeah.
And remember Summerfest
Oh
Yes.
or Gospel
yeah.
Fest? when at Carowinds, how they would have
Girl.
the up
Mayfest,
and coming
Hmm.
Joy
gospel
Fest, Joy
artists,
Fest.
huh?
Was
Joy
it Joy
Fest.
Fest?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
every
Joy
summer
Fest.
you knew you gonna get a rundown of all
Yes,
the up and coming gospel artists. They did a tour at the amusement parks, and you got to be a part of that concert. And not just gospel artists, because I went to a CCM uh version of Joy Fest at
yeah,
Carowinds as well. But I do think when something is not, like Holly said, when something is not before you, and
Hmm.
we do have to get creative. Like I know personally, I don't listen to the radio. I have my music downloaded. I used to be big on what was it, Pandora, which exposed me to other quote unquote B artists, and then I would go search out those new artists that they're playing before me, and then that's how I found out about other artists.
Yeah,
But if they're not marketed and put before you, then you're not gonna know. And
exactly.
so I don't know who are the new gospel artists. I know my sister listens to what I call gospel R&B, because
yes,
the artists sound like R&B songs, but they're singing
Hmm.
right.
about Jesus. And
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
like, where did you find these people? She's like, oh girl, they on YouTube.
yep, YouTube.
And
Mm.
she's like finding these artists on YouTube
Yeah.
kind of randomly that I never heard of,
Hmm.
um, that are, that she knows them by name and knows their music. But
Hmm.
I've not seen them on anything mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is like I mean it's interesting like you said when it comes to, having the money, to do what you need to do. I know one of the things that I thought was good that he talked about, and one of the things that I really feel like he brought to Maverick City was, of course, the content creation was one of the things he talked about, and then the collaboration was like a big thing, like bringing all of those artists together. I wonder if independent artists would benefit from, coming together and being more collaboratives, bringing funds together, bringing, and keeping and being able to still maintain independence and being able to still maintain some sense of ownership of their music. But
yeah.
yeah.
I agree. And I assume that even your independent artists still have management.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you would have
Mhm.
to have a healthy group of managers in order to collaborate. There's
Yeah,
still,
that's true.
you have to discuss the finances and who's going to
Mhm.
be your headliner and
Yeah.
all of
Anybody want to
those
be the
things.
headliner?
So
That's true.
if there's not a mutual understanding and a desire to make this work, it's not
Mhm.
going to work.
Yeah.
I think it can work, but you got to have people that are willing to have a meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
It can be
That's so
really
true.
effective, because there are so many artists people
Yeah,
don't
because
know
and
about.
everybody's kind of doing their own thing, managing their socials over here. Got they. So I definitely feel like we could benefit from more of an infrastructure and, kind of meeting of the minds and figuring out.
Yeah,
Because that was one of the things that when it comes to, I think Isaac's question was, so how do we fix it, or but I guess his idea of fixing it was creating that collaboration and moving more in the CCM direction. But it's like, how do we preserve the gospel sound
right.
and move that forward? So I don't think that was really hashed out,
Because we ain't
in
trying to
the
erase history. It's
But
already
I,
exactly.
much of trying
Yeah.
to erase
yeah.
history, and that's
Yeah.
not clearly we saw from the responses and reaction. People ain't gonna let that happen.
At
Right. And
all.
I think, there's been so much commentary, as we all have stated,
Hmm.
surrounding this. And I do agree, like, there was never an answer, a legitimate answer to the solution as to that
Yeah.
question. And it seemed like the solution is assimilate,
Hmm.
come over to this way. And I think that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Like that's never gonna happen, and because there is the diversity, I do feel like would be lost.
Yeah.
Um, and we kind of see that and have seen
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I know I saw an artist talk about preserving like the purity of the message and when we get into a place of commercialization, how that can be lost, but is there a way to balance? Like I know he talked a lot about, he's talking from more of a business perspective, so
Right.
his lens was money and numbers. He won't really thinking, I mean, I think he was thinking in terms of ministry too, but it was more of a overshadow of how can I push this music forward, put the money behind it, put the marketing behind it to get it out there. But I guess my question is there a way for people to balance that sense of getting more influence, making income because this is their living, but still maintaining the purity and the essence of their sound and the message of the gospel? That's probably a big old question, but
I think it's a big question, but I think it's an easy answer, and I'm gonna say yes. One of my favorite artists, and I mentioned her earlier, and she does have crossover appeal, is CC Winans.
oh yeah,
And CC can flatfoot
girl.
sing, and she's always been authentic to her sound.
Hmm.
And her sound did allow for crossover. So
Yeah.
she was crossed over before crossing over was a thing. I mean,
Hmm.
she started out on PTL.
Hmm.
But CC ain't released, well, she did just release an album, but she's still been touring.
Hmm.
She's doing other things, and this has been her livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kurt Franklins, the Yolanda Adams, the Freds, the Israel, like these people aren't broke. They still have the ability, they're still supporting themselves in some way, shape, or form, if it's nothing but the royalties off the music they already made. So I
Yeah.
think there is a way that you can still stay true to the integrity of your sound and your what you bring and still have it monetized. People are
Mm.
still are doing that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I
Absolutely.
do notice, and one quick side note,
Hmm.
what Cece did, was it the last album that she did that was more Cece imish?
Hmm.
Mm.
She got a lot of criticism about that because it didn't sound black enough. And they felt like she was crossing over and just leaving her roots. But she's always had a
She's
different
always been
sound.
CCM.
Yeah,
I've never
But this
really
one
looked at
was
her as
more
gospel.
so.
Oh,
This
okay.
was more heavy on that
Okay.
than, like,
and she did a lot of covers.
yeah, she did, Alabaster Box. That was
And
all
you're
that
right.
was
She
different
did
to
do
people
some
than this.
stuff that was more gospely. Like I remember, what's it, Everlasting Love? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Everlasting. Did y'all see
Yeah,
her
that was a
tiny
really.
desk? When
I need to
y'all
go
need to
and
go
Yes,
watch
watch
her
it.
tiny
Okay.
I
desk. It
did.
was
I saw that.
fire.
Okay. Go
She did
ahead,
all her
CC.
hits.
I love
Yeah,
CC
she did.
Winans.
I think too, like, here's the other reality about us. And I can say this because I'm one of us.
Mhm.
We're very critical too.
Come on, of
Honey,
ourselves,
you can't
girl,
veer too left, too far to the left, or too far to the right.
honey.
So there is an aspect of almost sometimes like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yes, exactly.
So if you cross over, now you don't cross over too far,
Hmm.
or like sometimes there feels like you cannot quote unquote please, and I don't
Hmm.
think that should be the gain. I think as
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
as you are true to the integrity of who you are and the sound that you have and the music and the ministry, then you just kind of have to go with God on that because
Hmm.
there's gonna be someone who's never gonna be pleased.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
Do
Eh,
you think this makes me think about, I don't know if this is factual versus now we just know it more because of social media, but you see more gospel artists who go in contract with churches. They may not be
mm,
making the albums. I don't know if that's due to lack of support, but they're hired to be the praise and
worship
worship
leader.
worship.
pastor,
Yeah.
praise and worship leader, or sing backup. I don't remember ever seeing that many people. It was like every year, such and such is now at this church, and this
Hmm.
person is at that church, and now
Yeah.
they're here. They would pastor say, um, I don't know if that's because they're not making what they should, or truthfully, a lot of people that sing gospel music, that's their calling anyway. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're working in ministry,
Yeah.
period. So
Yeah.
for many of them, I know I've heard people say, well, they started out in ministry. They just
Yeah.
became an artist who was paid
Right.
for it. So maybe I just kind of answered my
But
own question, but I did see the shift.
that's true too. Like I think either they become worship leaders or pastors. that's that's kind of
But
but I think if that's your calling, like you said, some people do have that dual nature. So
Yes,
maybe they started out singing and God, moved them into, or
the
they've
public
always
eye.
been a preacher and they just the
right.
Lord. So
Yeah,
And I
a lot
think
of them are.
too, yeah, like a lot of them are like have
true.
started churches and are
Mm-hmm.
pastors now. And I think too, it also goes back to just the shift within church culture. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in an era, you guys probably did as well, in which there were no such thing as paid worship leaders.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who was probably given a salary was the pastor, the minister of
Mm-hmm.
music.
If he
They
got
might,
it.
yeah,
Yep.
if you got a minister, if you have a minister of music, might throw the drummer a couple of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Like
No,
there
that's
would,
it.
but now church is like a whole infrastructure, it's a
Mm-hmm.
business, and so there's an expectation for compensation.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when a person wins an Oscar, their asking price can be
Mm-hmm.
elevated because
Yeah.
I'm cream de la crop. I think it's the same way with Grammys. You can ask more. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, because church culture has changed so much that this is another facet of the business,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
which is you can be employed by this church for your gift
Yeah.
and
And it's
still be
easier because you ain't
Right.
got to go tour. You ain't got if so church is paying you real good money. You ain't got to be out on the road,
Get
shucking and
away from your
jiving
family.
for
shucking and jiving.
for pennies. I mean that's just the reality.
You know
Yeah.
who I don't know, this is so random, but he was like, or is one of the riff running people in gospel the
You was
most.
about to say Gab Kelia. What's the name?
No,
Oh,
but he's pastoring now, I think. J Moss.
Jay
oh,
Moss is pastor?
yeah.
I
He
think
is
he's
a
a
pastor.
pastor
I
now.
didn't know that.
But I
Wow.
have not heard anything. But he related to the Clarks. Because
Yeah,
that man
Yep.
can do a riff
he
and a
can
run.
do a
Right.
riff and a run. All yeah, all
Exactly.
those. He sure
Yeah.
can.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting how things have shifted and how with the industry the church shifted or the church shifted and then the industry shifted. So it's like interesting how they and it that's how it was like when I was reading and looking over the history, it was talking about, how gospel music emerged even the more, when artists within the church crossed over and did albums. And so it's been something that's been happening since the beginning of the genre. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to continue to be this what's the word, this parallel universe where as things happen over here you will see things shift within the music as well. So but yeah.
I can hear Kirk Franklin. You think gospel music is going too
Going too far.
Where it came from, I don't know.
Girl.
Right. It came from him because they
I
thought he
Yep.
mean,
had
like in
gone
the
too
moment,
far.
just
Oh
now.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh
And
yeah.
Okay.
that's
Yep, that was totally random,
and
Shanice.
and that's still the sentiment. I think that was one of the things that was said in the interview,
Yeah.
how people bashed, Maverick City because they were bringing a new sound, which really wasn't a new sound because black people was already singing CCM, but he
Yeah.
just brought, so I don't know, it made the interview made it seem as if they were the pioneers of
And they
that
were.
and they weren't. It was just like a collaborate. He just brought them together and they did it together. That was really the only difference. But like what do you guys think about that? Why the reason why you feel as though people were giving them so much flack like when they first came on the scene?
Well, I've heard people say, that's not us. That's not who we are. And I'm like, who are you to say, number one, who
Yeah.
we are and what we sound like? There are are Black people who sing country music
Come
because
on.
that's their core and their heart.
Warren Treaty.
Exactly.
There are Black people who are cowboys and so
Yeah.
just because you're not familiar with it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
just say you don't know nothing about it. So there are Black people that do opera.
Yeah.
Is that a popular
Yep.
thing for us to do, or is that common? No,
Mhm.
but we're still there. We have
Yeah.
more Black.
We
I mean, I think
everywhere.
it's a thing with in every place that we don't commonly see Black people. We previously didn't see many Black people that were swimmers. Now you see
Mhm.
that growing.
Yeah.
Tennis players, whatever. We're
Mhm.
stepping into more spaces as we become more familiar or as we become more unashamed of where
Yeah.
we come from, because everybody doesn't
Exactly.
have the same come from.
Mhm.
Everybody
Come
doesn't come from a
on.
struggle. Everybody
Exactly.
doesn't come from the hood. There are
Mhm.
Black people who grow up in spaces that are predominantly white,
Mhm.
who may not sound the way
Yeah.
another Black person sounds.
That's
So
true.
I think that is the diversity we have to come to accept and realize that we are all different. It doesn't make
Exactly.
anybody less Black or less
Mhm.
cultured.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Different. And
Absolutely.
I think like when Maverick City first came on the scene, I had no idea who they were. But
Mhm.
the first song that stood out to me, because I am a Stephanie Gretzinger fan, but when she made when Chandler and Stephanie Gretzinger, speaking of collaborations, made the
Yep. There you
Refiner's Fire, that was my first introduction to Maverick City.
go. Mhm.
And this was, in the height of the pandemic. And I'm a fan of Stephanie from Bethel. I knew her from
Yeah.
there. And ironically, Chandler's in Charlotte. We're close to Charlotte. So I had dealings with him
Mhm.
because he used to come and sing at the Experience, which is like a local um, musical collaboration, so to speak. And so I was like, oh, that's the dude that used to come to the Experience. And
Mhm.
that's like, oh, wow. I appreciated the music. I didn't have any issues with it
Yeah.
until I started hearing people complaining about it, like, saying, what has been noised abroad about it not being Black enough or whatever. But I actually enjoyed the music. I thought it
Mhm.
was fresh. I appreciated the fact that there were all these rivers that they would flow into, and it felt like
Yeah.
a free flow of worship.
Mhm.
It wasn't just a verse, a hook, a vamp, but they just allowed the song to breathe, and I thought that was
Yeah.
refreshing. And I really didn't have an issue and didn't know it was an issue until apparently it was.
Mhm.
You know,
Mm.
well, before I go into what I was about to say, there's some songs, even though people have a challenge with accepting the sound, there's some songs like Gyra. When Gyra came out, Gyra will make you go into a full-fledged Baptist fit, you know, just because of the oil that's on the song.
Mhm.
And I think when it is God-centered, it still has the same effect.
Yeah,
Like, we
Yeah.
can't argue that Gyra is
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
it's a good song. It just
Yeah,
really
don't get it
is.
twisted. We love CCM, period.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think back to my days at UNC Charlotte when,
Mhm.
well, first of all, my dad's a musician. I come from um, music's heavy in my family. Everybody
Mhm.
sings, everybody plays instruments because my daddy couldn't read music, but my grandma told my daddy, sit down, you're gonna play this piano at church. And he plays by ear. To this day, he cannot
Yeah.
read music, but he can hear it and
Mhm.
play it. So I have a love for the sound of music.
Yeah.
It's art to me, and I appreciate it. So early on, like in college, I was going when Point of Grace, I would listen to
Oh
Point of
my goodness.
Grace,
Point of grace.
Michael W. Smith,
Yes,
Yeah.
Curtis
yeah.
Chapman, Amy Grant came to you
Amy
Detroit,
Grant. Yep.
and
Yes.
I was one of the few Black people sitting in that arena listening to Amy Grant, but I
Natalie
Yeah.
appreciate the
too,
sound.
Shanita.
Oh
You
yeah,
said who?
Natalie. Yeah.
Natalie Grant.
Natalie Grant, yes.
Exactly.
All of those individuals I just love. I know Wilson Phillips is not a Christian group, but they will do Christian songs. But I
Girl,
like them
Wilson,
too.
Wilson,
Yep.
You
Wilson
know,
Phillips.
I just, when you have a love for a sound of music, I think you receive things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Do I listen to CCM all the time? Absolutely not. My favorite music is gospel, but
Yeah.
when I listen to it, I enjoy it. I
Exactly.
like it. I love it. It's still
Mm-hmm.
an art. It's a different sound, but it's the same goal in mind, which is to
Exactly.
spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I
Yes.
think when you come from that position, we talked about heart posture on some of
Mm-hmm.
our other podcasts. You don't have to necessarily fall in love with the sound of CCM,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't deny our sisters and brothers have a different sound,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
And that's
We got
okay.
a different sound, and that's okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
Um, Different does not mean wrong.
Come
Right.
on.
So,
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I
And oh.
no, go ahead, Holly. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, but I definitely agree with what you guys have said. Like I love their music too when they came on the scene. I love CCM. I love the message. I love the writing.
The writing.
That is, yeah, that's what gets me because that's to me. I love lyrics, and
So will
so,
I.
oh my lord, come on. So will I was the lyrics that never ended, didn't it?
Yeah, and they
But it
go
was
on and on
good.
and on and on like
It was
eternity.
good though. And I went to a predominantly white church for a long period of time. And so that's, of course we sung CCM music and I loved and fell in love with it even the more then. But of course I love gospel as well. And so, the thing about gospel is that it's hard to understand why there was so many, and I know why, because people were like, okay, you're putting black people singing CCM and you're putting gospel on it, but it's really CCM music, it's just black people singing it. And I think that was, the whole issue. But at the same time, it's like, why are people so up in arms? There's so many different branches of gospel. You have gospel rap. You got
Yeah.
gospel, like you said, people who sing
R&B.
basically R&B, but there's with a gospel message. You got gospel country. It's the one genre of music that includes all the
Yes,
other genres within the music, and that's because a gospel started almost all of it. So it kind of, it's
You
they
can't help
yeah, it can't help it. And so we can't be closed-minded when the way gospel music started was it infused other versions of music. And so for it to be them moving into like more of a CCM, that should have just been embraced and appreciated. So I do agree with Norman on that it should have been embraced
yeah.
more.
And
And
I think,
even, go ahead, sweet.
okay, I was gonna say too, like one, I agree with everything that you guys have said, but I think one of the things that makes gospel gospel is the soul of the song,
Yeah.
and it's the person singing it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so there's like there's these videos that are floating around with our Asian brothers and sisters,
Girl,
and
they
you
love
see
us.
them
Come on.
singing gospel songs, literally
Don't they?
singing the paint off the
Honey,
wall,
they be
like going
singing.
damn, and it sounds so good.
Girl.
But one of the things that it never, like, to me, the whole Maverick City thing wasn't an issue as well, because culturally we always take whatever and add some more Lowrys on it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Some
So even
Larry
if we
seasoning
sing
salt.
in Jara
Yep.
or So
Yep.
or whatever, by the time we done did added all of the parts and
They
notes
go
and
add some stuff to
changes,
it. Yeah.
it's gonna have the same integrity, but it's gonna be
Exactly.
made into something totally different. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
think
would definitely
Exactly.
say that.
it can be
Mm-hmm.
appreciated when it's duplicated. When you
Come
Yeah.
on.
duplicate it, it's like, I appreciate this enough to sing it
Mm.
over.
Yeah.
Because when Jen Johnson sings the song, and when Cece sings the song, they're both singing about the
Mm-hmm.
goodness of God, and I can receive from both, but they present the message totally different because they're
Exactly.
two different
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And one is not better than the other. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a preference.
Come
Yeah.
on. And that's the
Exactly.
thing, like when it comes to that song, like I was part of a like I said, a multicultural church, and like when it first came on the scene and Jen Johnson was singing it, we sung that song. And Jen, when I heard that song, she took me all the way in, and I brought it to the praise team, was like, can we sing this during our I never thought that Cece would pick it up and it would become this phenomenon. But back then, I was like, this song, something is on it. Let's sing this right now. And so,
Have you
yeah.
heard the version of that song? Okay, so Jen has her version, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. Cece added some, you're good. She added a little drive to it.
Mm-hmm.
Your goodness is running. Maybe that wasn't the original. But then I heard somebody do another version of it with shouting music.
What?
And it's like
It's
so
still
many
good,
different,
ain't it?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the song has morphed.
Mm-hmm.
People have added their own flavor to it, and that's
Exactly.
what
That's what
makes
it's
it
all
beautiful.
about. Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
makes me think about I'm trying to find it, but Kim Walker has done a couple of songs.
I love Kim
One
Walker.
Spirit Breakout, and there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
I think she
Break Every
did.
Chain was a
Mm-hmm.
Jesus culture
Yep.
song, and then
Exactly.
Tasha Cobbs made it
Yep.
popular.
And took it
And
to the
there's
moon.
another one. She talks about kisses or like a
Oh, that's the
reckless.
one with Sloppy Wet Kiss.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, Reckless
What song is
Love.
that?
Reckless Love.
Reckless.
Reckless.
Oh, the
We took
overwhelming.
that song and slaughtered it in a good way.
In a good way. Come
It
on.
was like, first of all, and I say this jokingly because I love my light skinned sisters and brothers, as Pastor
Mm-hmm.
Key used to say. Um, we just sing about different things at times. I joke with one of my light skinned sisters who leads the worship or used to at my church, and I would jokingly say, I say, yeah, because y'all be singing about the weather all the time.
Yeah.
Hurricanes, tornadoes,
It's very
ocean.
visual. That's what I love. It's very visual, very
Yeah.
like you can literally picture what they're singing
Nature,
about in your head.
I
Yeah.
said, okay,
stars
we
in the
can do this. We
skies, the
Yeah.
know.
galaxies, the
I
rocks
said,
crying out.
Yeah.
exactly, the stars in the sky, like, and we sing about where we come from, where we're going, the
Mm-hmm.
struggle that became, God turned into victory and
The
Come
how we
on.
history.
made it over,
Mm.
or, who
Yeah.
God is.
Yeah.
So we just sing about it in different capacities, same thing,
Exactly. Yeah.
but different,
Mm-hmm.
different versions. So we will take a song and put stank on it real
Come
quick,
on.
and
Put some
Real
stank
quick.
on it.
I appreciate both
Yeah.
versions, because I
And
think
and that's the thing too. Like somebody had said in one of the comments under the video, they was like, "Yeah, you singing about what they say, Jira now, but you go through a tragedy, you might have to go back to I need you now. You might have to go
I
back
need you now,
to
right?
what people would, I guess they would look at gospel as struggle music or whatever, which is not, but and that's the thing when you look at the Psalms of David, the
Woo!
man, he did not just sing about the majesty of God. He sung about this is my struggle and this is how God brought me through.
They
yes,
It
they
was,
trying to kill me.
come on, it was
Get him,
both.
God. Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't just that one experience like, oh God, you're wonderful. It was, now my enemies are great, and now my head shall be lifted above my enemies around about me. It was him talking about his struggles. And that's the gospel too. The struggle that we went through and how God got us over. And so we can't confuse thinking that only one is the gospel because both are.
And David in the Psalms, when you look at the Psalms, like David was best his heart, he was perplexed on
Come on, he
everything.
was
yes,
going
he
Because
was.
through.
there
He
were
was
times
kind.
in the Psalms where he was even questioning God, like, have you
Exactly.
forgot about me?
Come
They
on.
about to get me,
Yeah,
And then he
Exactly.
would have a revelation and be like, but you God,
to sing
I'm just
praises to
one.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
exactly.
and I think that encompasses the Christian experience, because if
Mm-hmm.
you are a believer who has had any history with the Lord
Come
in
on.
your walk, there have been times where you have questioned and asked him, okay, what we doing? What are you
Exactly.
doing?
Come
I,
on.
I feel like I'm
I
being
asked him that yesterday.
persecuted. Yes, you did.
not every day.
Hey, come on.
It's, you know, And I'm appreciative that God is big enough to answer our why
Come
questions.
on.
And I think I initially was trained that we should not question God, but
Mhm.
we absolutely should. We can
Yeah.
ask him questions because he's big enough to handle those questions. So when David is lamenting his heart
Mhm.
because he's frustrated
Yeah.
or he feels like the Lord has over forsaken him or
Mhm.
whatever, and he writes about it, it still is relevant as
Come
him giving
on.
God praise and glory
Exactly.
and honor. And I think music should do all of that. It
Yes.
Yeah.
should tell the story.
Mhm.
It should speak of his deity. It should speak of his
Exactly.
works. It should
Yes.
speak of our history with him. It should speak of our
Mhm.
inadequacies. It should speak of
Yes.
restoration. Like there is more to the story.
Come
Yeah.
on. It
And
is.
when you don't add those components into the story, it
Mhm.
gives this a false sense of reality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the reality is, and you guys would probably agree that when we came into this walk, it got hard.
Come on.
Like the struggle be real.
Lady.
Yeah.
Trying to
Okay.
have character and uphold what the word says.
Come on.
You know, am I presenting myself in a way that is Christ-like?
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
and we have a lot of times, that's a whole nother podcast. We have made Christendom be not a struggle, and that's not reality.
It's not,
It,
honey.
it does have a struggle component to it,
Mhm.
but we're needy, as my pastor always says, but God is faithful.
Come on.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
the music doesn't speak of both, then it
Mhm.
leaves out something.
Come on. And that's
You
why
know who I
both are
think
needed. Go ahead,
who
Janita.
I also think did a good job. I don't hear much from them now. I know there's some challenges, but All Nations, um,
Mm.
their worship music,
Yeah,
it that ministered to me in some very places. And
Mhm.
so I think, and they've been out for years also.
yeah.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of people who have been on the scene that bring that same element, that
Yeah.
same sound.
And I think, we were talking about this earlier, just, this week, and I think about and I'm gonna name two artists, Miranda Curtis, because I've been running her CD in rotation. I think it's called Worship. What is that CD called? Her latest one that she has out
Honey,
that
I was
I
at that
Yeah,
literally
live recording.
that live
yeah,
recording,
Yes,
the
sir.
first three songs that she released, Worship Restored. The
Girl.
first three songs that she released before the actual album dropped, I literally played them on repeat on the trip to Pennsylvania. Like
Mm.
repeat. And like to hear it, it reminds me of that 2000s flavor. Like, but Miranda, she gonna holler, she gonna speak in tongues, she gonna
yes,
run, she
Yep.
gonna pray. Like you're gonna
Mhm.
get a kit and caboodle of all the things that make it gospel music. But then you have the Lisa Knowles, is
Come
yes,
that
ma'am.
on.
who is straight
Talking
up
about quartet
quartet.
is dead. The
Yes,
devil
Who,
is a liar.
honey, y'all go check out, if you're listening to this podcast, go check out Lisa Knowles
promises.
Smith. Is that
Lisa Noel Smith. Uh huh.
Lisa
Mhm.
Noel Smith Promises. That's
Come
all I'm
on.
gonna say. Now, when I listened to
Precious
it yesterday, because I've been listening to it every day,
promises.
858,000 views.
Mhm.
Don't play it while you're driving.
Ah, people gonna be
Honey,
shouting.
it's a 10-minute song. if
And I
that gives
love
you,
every bit
if
of it.
that gives
Yeah.
you any indication,
Mm.
and she's singing this song about the promises of God
Yes, sir.
and
Yes
how we
and
can
amen.
trust His promises. I
Yes.
mean, it's just good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
it's got
amen.
all the components. She yelling,
But
she's screaming, she's driving, she's
Woo.
telling a story,
Yeah.
and it's
That's what
like
quartet do. They tell a good story, boy.
the
come on
quartet will
and
tell.
drive that thing on home.
Yeah.
They the original
Yeah.
storytellers.
That's it. Exactly.
I'm
Keep you there all
saying
night too, but
it
it was
Hmm.
would
good.
all night, literally as
Yeah.
they walk the aisle. But but my point
Yes.
is
Hmm.
my point in
Man.
bringing up the story,
Woo.
my point in bringing up those two artists is to say they're both different and unique in their own perspectives, but they're equally as valuable.
Yeah.
And a world without Miranda would be a
Mm-hmm.
dull place. A world without the Lisa Knowles
Exactly.
would be dull, just like a world without Jen Johnson and a
Mm-hmm.
world without Maverick. They
Exactly.
offer something
Come
different.
on.
And
Yeah.
Maverick can't do what Lisa is doing. And
Come
I don't
on.
expect them to.
Exactly.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like knowing your place and not just knowing your place, but standing in the authenticity of what God has given you is the greatest.
Exactly. Come on.
That's the greatest flex. When you
Yeah.
say, this is
Yes.
who I am, this is who
Mm-hmm.
God created me to be, and I have value to add.
Exactly.
And they all do.
We do. Mm-hmm.
So
That
I
was good,
think,
sweet.
thank
That
you. And I
was
think that's
good.
why I was a little, back to the interview,
Mm-hmm.
I was disheartened um of some of the comments that were made by Mr. Norman
Mm-hmm.
because it completely nullifies really the deity of God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
In Revelations, I'm pull this up because I think it completely hits the hammer on the head. I think it's Revelation 7, and it talks about after this I looked and behold a great multitude that no one could number from every nation,
Yeah.
from
Mm.
all tribes
Come
and
on.
people and
Hold up.
languages standing
Yes.
before the throne and before the Lamb.
Mm.
We all got a
Come
different
on.
sound. If he wanted us all to be the same, what would be the purpose of having every
Come
nation and
on.
every tribe and
Exactly.
creating this multitude of
Mm-hmm.
multifaceted differences?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what this music is.
It is.
And
Mm.
so the takeaway, there is something that my Spanish brothers and sisters bring to the table that if I couldn't get no ampaladas, I'd be like, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's every culture has this
Yes,
thing
that's
that it brings that
come
we
on.
all benefit from.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
just the creativity of God. And so to take
Mm-hmm.
out one aspect of the musical creativity, there would be a void.
It would. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, brings me to another question because I know when it comes to like the interview, many were slamming, Isaac for not speaking up more because gospel is a genre that, of course, he has benefited from. What do you think? Do you think he should have spoken up more? Like I know because we're podcasters and we often have people on that we're interviewing and we want them to be able to tell their entire story. Like, do you think he should have spoken up more when it comes to when he said certain comments about gospel music?
I want Shanita to answer this with her journalism background, and I submit.
So I would have liked to have seen him ask questions that have to do with the foundation that was laid by many of the artists that we discuss.
Yeah.
And I would like to have heard him inquire of the influence of gospel music in spaces like CCM.
Exactly.
I would like to know where I did hear him say that he wants to sustain gospel music. I
Mm-hmm.
did hear him say that. He didn't use the word sustain,
Mm-hmm.
but I can think of a million other questions I would have asked him to get clarification because here's the reality. When you are interviewing someone and you ask certain questions, it can come off a certain way based off their personality. Everybody does not
Mm-hmm.
interview well. Everybody does not
Yeah.
have, and I'm not saying he doesn't, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody does not have the skill set to use their words with season. And some people
Mm-hmm.
don't even care to do it. They just talk the way
Yeah.
they normally would talk in a conversation like you're sitting on the couch in their living room.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people have PR people
Yeah.
to shape what they're saying so that it comes off in a way that it's not dishonoring, disrespectful, and
Mm-hmm.
have you out here looking like a fool.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I do feel like a journalist would have dug a little bit deeper, but that's because they're journalists. They know to do those things. They know to ask clarifying questions that are going to get to the heart and the core of the person. When you don't know to do that, you ask surface questions and you get surface answers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more information we could get from Mr. Norman. Um, and I don't know if he will come back out and address what people have said. He may not even care, because he's still the executive. He still
Still
got his
making
job.
money, and so
He
he'll.
still get his coins.
Yeah.
He still got a job to do.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I do believe that there could have been more questions asked, and not necessarily that he should have spoken up. I do feel like he went along with some of the things that
Yeah.
were said.
All I kept hearing him say is facts. Every
Yeah.
time he said
Uh-huh.
something, facts,
Yeah.
facts.
Uh-huh.
Still.
And it's affirming what the person
Yeah.
is saying. And many times as a journalist, you'll notice they will not give you a uh-huh, oh yeah, uh-huh, because you don't show agreement with what a person's saying.
Yeah.
You just want to present the facts to the people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference between a person who is trained in it as a journalist and a person, not that podcasters can't be, because you can have great podcasters, but it also comes with years of experience,
Yeah.
when you know to do those things. So yes, I think it was a little different than what I would have done.
And
I'll
especially
sit down.
like that question at the end where he said one gotta go CCM or gospel, and of course he said gospel has to go, and I'm like, okay, you literally are disregarding the genre that trained the artists that you currently have. So
Yeah,
without gospel, you wouldn't have them. So like, really, I would have said neither one,
right.
because they both work together. But I think that was a crazy question to ask, because it kind of reiterated his thought process when it came to which one was better than
And
the
it's
other.
divisive in a
It
sense
is very divisive.
I
because you're
think
forcing people to choose a side.
Exactly. When you don't have to.
Yeah,
And I think that's kind of like one of the I think that's like a staple of his podcast. Like that's something that he asks all his guests.
he
Like
does.
it's like his little thing. But
Yeah.
I do agree with you, Shanita, being that you have this background, and that's the joy of having social media and a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody can have their voices be heard and do interviews and over half probably aren't qualified, and that's just the reality. I think for me, having been in podcast space for the past what 5 years now, and we talk amongst ourselves, but there have been numerous times that we've brought people on and interviewed them and asked them questions and things of that nature. I do not feel like I think it would have been totally okay outside of what you stated, Shanita, which is asking good clarifying questions and asking better questions. I think it would have been totally okay to also, because this is a podcast, this ain't Barbara Walters. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would have been totally okay to engage in conversation about things that maybe he didn't agree with. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know we've had people on here and we've had some hot topics and we've had engaging conversation
Yeah.
where it's been apparent that obviously we're on two opposite sides of
yeah,
the spectrum. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. We don't
It
all have
is.
to agree. I
exactly.
think we should all be able to have very good copacetic dialogue where we can voice our opinions and concerns in a respectful way. And I think with Mr. Isaac being a gospel artist, and I mean a
Mm-hmm.
very notable gospel
That
artist
runs and runs well.
that
That
runs
should have been the
runs
first. Like, what? Talking about I can't
runs and
run.
runs well,
Okay.
who has stock in history in
Yeah.
this industry,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I who we wouldn't even know if it wasn't for the fact that he was a gospel artist.
Exactly.
I do feel like there was some onus in him being able to speak to some of the things that were being said
Yeah.
because he himself is directly impacted,
Mm-hmm.
um, or was impacted by some of those statements.
Yeah.
I
Um,
wonder if this crossed my mind as I was watching the podcast a second time. I wonder if he felt pressured to not come off as combative or question what was being said, for a fear of looking a certain kind of way, even though it still happened. Not doing, the questioning of,
Yeah.
I wonder if it was fear, or does he really agree? I mean, he can't necessarily agree because, like you said, he rips and run. He sang, he
Yeah.
sang with Minister. He sang with Gyamfi.
Exactly.
He sang background for other artists.
Kirk
So
Kirk
Franklin's on the
Franklin.
tour.
Yep.
Kirk Franklin, right? Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
all of those artists that have a history of having people in their repertoire that do rips and runs, um, he's familiar with, and he's one of them. He is a ripping and running
Okay.
person,
And
all day, every day.
girl.
So I just wonder if he agreed, and if he didn't agree, was there any type of fear of the repercussions
Yeah.
if he showed that he disagreed on a public platform? Do you
Mm.
Well,
feel
I think that's a very good question. And I think, he also presented, and I'm just going off of what was on the podcast, he did present as though there was some level of relationship between
Yeah,
him
they
and
do
Mr.
got.
Norman. When
Mm-hmm.
you say, I have your phone number, I know I can call you if I'm in need.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's been times where that has happened just based off the conversation that they were
right?
having. They're not unacquainted with each other. This isn't you bringing someone onto the podcast that you don't really know, but you're
Mm-hmm.
bringing them in as like a subject matter expert or whatever the case may be, where you may feel a little apprehension. Apparently, there's a level of relationship that I still feel should have warranted some more engagement.
Yeah.
Even for to say it's too loud, it's too many runs, y'all do too much,
It's
it would
stale.
have been
Mm-hmm.
totally perfectly appropriate and respectful to say, now, Norman, that could be in your opinion.
Exactly.
Like that, the pushback doesn't have to be uh, aggressive and rude, but it could just be, in your opinion, it's too this
Yeah,
or that.
because some people look at CCM as being stale. Like it all
Right.
sounds the same. They
Yeah,
all
I've heard
singing
that a
on the
lot.
same chords.
It's
They,
dry.
Yeah, it
so
don't
it's
do
like,
nothing. Don't have no
exactly.
movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything in unison, like,
Yeah.
and I've even heard musicians, church musicians,
Mm-hmm.
really kind of speak bad about CCM, like in like the musicality of the music,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like is linear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I do think that um I'm not saying he has a podcast. And I think, like us all in this podcast space, the difference in between Mr. Isaac and us is that he has more notoriety than we do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's more known, he's more well known. But I do think, again, too much is given, much is required. And since he has ventured into the space where he's hosting these conversations with these individuals, I think he has to, this is a ministry now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is the thing that makes him go back to his team. I heard people in the background. He got a team.
Yeah, he
We
does.
got
They
us
will.
and Holly.
Yeah.
So to say that he has a team, meaning
Mhm.
there's probably someone that he's sitting around a table with discussing topics, questions, things that they're going to discuss.
They
How
showed them in the beginning, in the intro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. So that like this is something that he probably needs to explore what that's gonna look like, because there's gonna always be some type of level of backlash just because he's famous and
Yeah.
he is.
And
And so I think either way, if he had a said something, it could have went another way, and then he
yeah.
didn't say something and it still ended up going away.
Right.
Mhm.
So you should really just be
Yeah.
authentic.
Or and even if he didn't want to be the one to combat him, have someone on from the gospel music industry that they can sit down and have a dialogue, like maybe a veteran in the gospel music industry and Norman talking about the issues that surround it and be able to do it that way. But I think too, like when you're picking guests to be on your podcast, you got to be careful that you don't bring nobody on that's going to offend the very audience that is coming to look like literally, like you're from gospel music. So I don't know. I feel like in a sense, I'm not saying he shouldn't have had him on there, but I
I
don't
don't.
know.
I don't think that's the issue because I think he's famous and he's starting a podcast. And so in order to, and I'm not saying that he's not trying to monetize it, but let's be honest,
Yeah, that definitely
monetization
good.
comes through views.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
so him having Norman on there, um, probably he's fully aware of what the end result was going to be because
Mhm.
he knows who he is.
But I
Yeah,
Now,
also, I don't think
and
when I
maybe
of the shows that I've watched of his, and this is not to criticize him or anything, it's an observation. I've never seen him give kickback or
that's true. He
disagree with
don't
anyone
really
in
disagree.
his
You're right.
interview. Um, so I think that's why I said I wonder if it's fear, even though he knows a person
Mm,
or doesn't know a person. You can feel threatened when you know someone and feel like
mhm.
I don't want to mess up this relationship by saying
Yeah, because he
something
is a
opposing his
gatekeeper.
view, right?
Okay, so
Or
you
this
don't want to
person
mess
can
up your
cancel my
money.
opportunities.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and I don't know if he feels that way or not.
Yeah.
So, but I do know in watching his shows, I've seen a pattern in
That's
how he
true.
interviews his guests, and that just may be his thing, you
Yeah,
know?
and you're right.
And that,
That could,
mm, go, I'm
oh,
sorry.
I'm
Oh, I
sorry.
was
I
just gonna
think
say,
that could.
oh, go finish. Go ahead, sweet. Go ahead, finish your thought, and then I'll
All
come in
right.
after you.
Um, excuse me. I was just gonna say, Shanita, that very well could be his not his tactic, but that could be his MO and how he chooses to
Hmm.
be a host. That he's just bringing the guest on, he's asking the quote unquote hard questions, and just kind of letting the chips fall where they may.
And that's kind of on what I was gonna say as far as like he kept referring to him in the interview as a disruptor. So he was like, I look at you as a disruptor in the industry. So I don't know if maybe his objective was to allow him to spill his heart out there just to get a conversation started because this was just on the cusp of the whole Glorilla thing. So it was like literally uh smart, I guess, marketing to have somebody then come behind that whole conversation and talk about what's wrong with the gospel music industry because you see this person getting an award. And so, I think bringing him on, calling him a disruptor, maybe that's what his intention for the interview was for him to disrupt stuff so that people would talk about it. And maybe that was just the end of it.
And views because now
Exactly. Yeah.
we've encouraged people to go listen to the interview. People
Hmm.
heard the clips or they're going to go listen to the
Yeah.
interview. So there's always a B-side to marketing.
Hmm.
And we'll
That's true.
know probably in a week or two whether or not that marketing did any justice
That's
because
true.
it could either, as we've seen,
Yep.
people say, I don't even want to watch it now. So it's going to
Hmm.
do one of two things. It's going to push people away. He's going to lose viewers, or it's going to up his viewership.
That's
Yeah.
true.
In
Yeah.
this situation, it could go either way.
It really could go
You're
either
right.
way because in the comment sections of all the commentary that I've been reading and have read, prior to us having this conversation, there was a lot of kickback to Isaac for not speaking up.
Yeah.
Like people took fault with that
Hmm.
primarily because of his background.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting interview. So as Sweet said earlier, if you haven't watched it, I encourage you to go watch it just to even, and I think too, we do need to get to, because, I did learn some things from Norman in the process about the
Yes.
industry, the behind
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
scenes, all of the things,
Yeah.
Overall, he was smart for doing what he did, for saying, hey, collaboration, because the word even says that two is better than one.
Right.
Period. And so when you collaborate, well, two for the price of one. There you
Oh,
go. When you,
marketing.
all right,
Marketing.
message. When when you collaborate, you always come out better. And I think when he was saying about I know people took offense to white people understand it, the Jews understand that collaborating, together, that was kind of like okay. But in essence, what he was saying was we need to do more to help each other, and I'm all with
Exactly.
that.
Right.
So
It was how he said it.
yeah, it was how he said it's the
And I knew
delivery.
exactly what he was saying because people
Exactly.
say it all the time.
They do. Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
However, it was how he said it and it came off a certain way and
Yeah.
them reels didn't help. So
Come on, somebody.
And I think what you said, Shanita, is very paramount when it comes to like everybody doesn't interview well, everybody doesn't
Mhm.
present well. And I know like I watch TV and different things and different shows, and I've seen where there are certain times where artists or in actors, just
athletes.
people,
Yep.
athletes, where they will let you know this topic is off
Mhm.
limits.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Um, and so obviously again, we're novice. Isaac is a
Mhm.
novice. He's a gospel artist. We
Yeah.
are who we are in our own perspectives and taking
Mhm.
the opportunity to have conversations. And so I think there's just that dynamic there of, like you said, a journalist would know how to continue to,
Mhm.
pry and
Yeah.
ask clarifying questions. But to Holly's point and to your point, Shanita, that may not be the tactic by
Yeah.
which he chooses to be a host.
Yeah. It's true. He might just want to be a Shannon Sharp. Somebody had mentioned it in the comments. Talking about
You
what they
know what?
say. Shannon Sharp did something so that Isaac Caree could. I said, "Yo,
You
Lord
know
help us,
what?
Jesus."
People,
Ooh, the Shannon
Shannon was
Sharp of
out here.
gospel
people,
knowledge.
come on now.
Oh, but
Wait, you gotta okay. Y'all mentioned two for the price of one, and some people didn't catch that promo, so y'all gotta go ahead and explain what that was, because not everybody know. We might have some new viewers and listeners.
Yay!
well,
We're
of
gonna throw that
course,
out there.
Sweet and I are independent artists, which was bashed on the show. No, I'm stopping. I'm just.
What?
We are independent artists, so we came out. Our first CD debut was called Two for the Price of One. So I guess I'll include it in the show notes. Don't judge us. It was our first time out, but
It's a
the
great project, by the
yes,
way.
it
I give my
is.
stamp of approval on that, whatever
Thank
that
you,
stands
Shanita.
for. I was there for the recording and the
And you're the
release.
host. Yeah,
Right?
you
Yeah, I
hosted
was the
too.
MC
Yep,
for that. But
absolutely.
and I'm not biased because they're my friends, but
Mhm.
they are two dynamic um artists, soloists.
Oh,
Um
bless it.
they collaborated well
Hmm.
Yep.
and they do what they're worship leaders. They
Hmm.
are just great at what they do. And this was a different type project. It
Hmm.
was fun, it was artistic, it
Yeah.
was all of the things that a
I,
lot of people say we're missing in the industry.
well,
So
sweet. I think we was pioneers of the collaboration.
come on here. Y'all better
Nobody
collaborate.
know,
When
Holly.
we came
Nobody
out with it,
knows.
well, that's true. When we came out, I don't think too many people was doing that,
I
collaborating two
don't know
artists together.
nobody else that was doing it.
This is correct.
This is true.
I
Like the
think we was
first,
on the cusp of something. If we
Come
had
on
the
here.
money.
and we had the marketing, man.
Oh, God, dog.
We like real talk
Yeah,
though. The whole
it's
reason we
true.
collabed is because we
Hmm.
were trying to cut costs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we're not, we kept telling people we're not a group, we're
Hmm.
not a female group,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
a Mary Mary.
Hmm.
We're two individual artists who
They just
put our
decided to come
resources
together.
together to produce an album.
And it
And
worked
Hmm.
well.
when you listen
Yeah.
to the album, if you should choose to, you'll hear Holly singing songs that she wrote, you'll hear me
Hmm.
singing songs that I wrote,
Yep.
and then we
And we
wrote
came
something
together.
with some other people together. But I mean, we was the original OGs. I
Come
mean,
Come
on
on.
now. Did we not
Give
pioneer?
them
We
their
be
flowers.
look. I'm like what is that? Little Richard. We were the originators. The Nah,
may he rest in peace.
bless his
But
heart.
but for
Yeah,
all
well,
intents and
I
purposes,
mean, my lord.
he was. Little Richard
Yeah,
was banging on
it's
that
true.
piano
He
before it
was.
became popular.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Then
Yeah.
Elvis came along, and Elvis
Hmm.
was the king, but Little Richard, Elvis was picking up from Little Richard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, y'all, I think we have exhausted every bit of this here.
Wait a minute, hold on.
In lieu of this Norman episode, I want to use
Isaac
this
Caree.
opportunity to just kind of lay some foundation for you guys and let you know my posture and where my heart is. Let me just give you the foundation of what the Isaac Caree Show is all about. It's a show where I give people a safe space to come on, share their thoughts, their heart, their good, their bad, and indifferent, without judgment. And I wanted to create that safe space for them
It's Isaac,
because
sweet.
I realized
Oh, you
that
commenting now?
being a gospel artist and being a
I might
person that's in
include this
church
on
and
the
a believer
episode.
and a person who's been doing this for over half of my life, 35 plus years to be exact, there's not a lot of
35.
spaces for us to come and share, our music, but you don't get a chance to know who we are. And so I wanted to create this space, not just for church people, but for people alike. I want to be able to sit down and talk to anybody from any walk of life, and they share their story. That's the heart. My show is not meant to be salacious, messy, dramatic. I wanted just to give insight and good information, laughs, journeys, and all those types of things. That's the foundation of who we are. I do want to say this respectfully. It's not a gospel show. It's a talk show. It's a show slash podcast. And we want to make sure that we lend this space for people to just be comfortable and be free to
I
tell
never
them.
thought it was a
I
gospel
also want to
show.
say to you guys that the views of my guests are not necessarily the views of myself or my crew and my team.
Knew that was coming.
I do want people to be comfortable to say what it is that's on their heart, and we just let them talk. It is my sole responsibility for the management or mismanagement of clips, posts, anything we post to promote our show. Hindsight is always 2020. When I look back at some of the moves I made with some of the trailers, specifically with the Norman trailer, I can see how it came across a little irresponsible on my behalf, and I take responsibility. And after having detailed conversation with people that I revere and I respect, that gave me insight and information, I'm gonna do better. I want you guys to know that there's not a blueprint for anything like this that I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to say is there are millions of podcasts. There are plenty of people who are doing it at a high level, but to infiltrate what I do, what I actually believe, who I am as a gospel artist, trying to go into this space, it's not a blueprint for it. So I'm going to make some mistakes. I'm still learning, and I'm going to be a better host. One of my biggest pet peeves is watching a podcast and the host is doing more talking than the guest. You watch a podcast to see the guest. That's why you tune in. You know the host already. So in some of these episodes, I had to force myself to be quiet because I'm a person that loves to talk. So trying to find out where to interject and where to get in, I failed in some areas, and I understand that now. Hindsight is always 2020. When I look back on it, I could have interjected in some areas where I should have said something here, but I'm learning, and I'm asking you guys to just understand that as I get information and as I grow as a better host, I'll get better. I want to ask you just to go on this journey with me. I know you know me for singing. You know me for some of the things I've been doing for the last 35 years, and I kind of sprung this thing on you guys. But I'm asking that if you know me and you trust me and you know my heart, this is coming from a good place. It's hard pressed to find many people who love, adore, and cherish gospel music the way I do. As I said earlier, I've given over 35 years of my life to this industry, and this industry is giving over 35 years back to me, good, bad, and indifferent, ups and downs, right? So for me to allow anybody to blatantly disrespect something that I do, and let's go before gospel music. This is what my mother did. Before anybody knew my name, my mother raised me to be a singer. My mother raised me to be a person singing in the church and doing those things. So I wouldn't allow anybody not only to disrespect the gospel music industry, I wouldn't let nobody disrespect my mama. And I ain't gonna let nobody play in my face like that. I sat in that seating. And again, hindsight is 2020. When I look back at it, I hear your grievances and I hear your concerns about what I could have done better and what I should have done better.
He got
and
it.
I own that. And I'm gonna work on that moving forward. So if you guys can just bear with me, go on this journey with me. For anybody that I made feel uncomfortable, Our sincere apologies to that. That's not what this show and this platform was created for. It's not a messy and salacious show. It's a show that's going to be informative, fun, and we're going to get some good conversations. I want to be able to sit down with anybody from any walk of life, whether I agree with them or not, and allow them to tell their story. So go on this journey with me. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I too sing hard and do a lot of runs.
Yep. That's what we're just saying, Isaac.
Like this all week long. Jesus.
He said he
I
got
love
us like I gotta go back and watch. He said y'all to have me like this all week long.
I'm sure.
You know what we gonna need highly.
That's really interesting that you brought that up right when we finished talking about that part of yeah. Okay, well I think we are rounding up this conversation. That was nice to have his input right after we just finished talking about it.
For
So but to end this, I just wanted us to kind of, pay homage to gospel music, right? So let's talk about our favorite songs or whenever we were first introduced to gospel music. You can do either one to end the podcast. Like, what is your first memory of gospel music, or what's your favorite song, whichever you want to choose for to end this on out.
I was literally born into gospel music with my father being a musician, and I can remember him playing records. I guess it was a 45. So I was listening to Sam Cooke 8 tracks, all of that Sam Cooke. I remember imitating in elementary school Shirley Caesar, Old Shouting John.
Ooh, yes, sir. She ain't playing no more.
In this church. Yeah, that. Mississippi Mass Choir, Georgia, and rest in peace to the mother. The late great that will be shaking in hell. And a lot of quartet. I am a quartet lover all day because of my upbringing. So Ken Spirituals and Lee Williams, Bree Holly, Highway QC. And then I want to shout out, if I can, I know you didn't ask for all this, all of those artists from my area who are gospel artists. Blanche McAllister is from this area. Ty Galbert, Shantae Henry, Sharon Rochelle, so many other people, and I'm sure I'm forgetting. Ronnie Raines, a lot of people, McDonald sisters, that are from this area that are doing well in the industry or that have laid a foundation in our community for those of us who are lovers of music. So many other people, Pastor John Key. I guess they say, partaker for life. And Patrick Love, who was part of, the choir for UNC Charlotte, and there's so many.
Carolina's got so many talented folks that are literally in the industry now that we grew up with, literally.
Right. Exactly. So the list goes on and on, and I could go. I think because we all love music, we probably got a long list, but I'm gonna stop there.
Telling you.
I'm gonna make mine quick. I, like Shanita, was born into gospel music, born and raised in the Black Baptist Church. Come from a family of singers and musicians. She named a couple of my people, but I think it warrants them being named again. I wrote my list down: Lee Williams, Kentown Spirituals, Pastor Key, Patrick Love, Vanessa Bell Armstrong. Will always be one of my favorites. She's not herald so much as gospel as she is kind of crossover, but I am an eternal fan of CeCe Winans. Her skill and her character and her poise is just unmatched. Grew up off Shirley Caesar and Shouting John. Georgia B. Guest, some of you guys may not know her, but she's a family member, and really as a young child taught me my first song, If God Is Dead. And she was a gospel artist and is a gospel artist. She doesn't record anymore, but Georgia B. Guest, Donald Lawrence, Gyamfi Key, I think that's all I can think of right now. Like, there's so many more. Somebody's probably gonna say them.
Yeah.
The
I,
Mississippi Mass Choir. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think too. Yeah, my story is the same. Born into gospel music, parents that were pastors. We were the family choir, so we were learning all of the songs. I can remember just riding in the car. My mom, had tapes of the Walkins family. Lord, uh, Walter Hawkins. No, I said what I call him? No, Walter Hawkins.
Yeah.
What was his sister's name? God, I'm having a
Tremaine.
Tremaine
Tremaine
Hawkins.
Hawkins. Oh my goodness. The Clark sisters, of course. Man.
I can't forget the Winans.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Oh
the
my
Winans.
goodness. The Winans, of course.
BB and CC.
Yep. BB and CC Winans. Just so many. That I remember that the love of that music, and like I said, Mississippi Mass Choir, Milton Brunson,
Yes.
uh gosh, what
Oh
was his
Jesus.
name that sang gosh,
Timothy Wright.
James Hall, in
Timothy
worship and
Wright. Yeah.
praise, what was the other people? Oh my
Orlando
goodness,
Draper.
girl,
Fred
it's
Hammond.
so, yeah, Fred Hammond. Oh my goodness, just the list goes on and
Commission.
on. Come
Oh
come on,
God,
somebody.
Commission.
Oh my
And Men of
gosh.
Standard.
Yes,
Yeah,
Minister.
yeah, absolutely.
Witness. Okay.
Oh,
Witness.
come
Yes.
on,
My God.
Witness. What about Unique? You remember Unique?
Yes.
Girl.
You
I
sing
don't
that
remember
stuff in the
Unique.
apartment,
Yeah.
girl.
I don't remember
Oh
Unique.
my
That must have been from
God.
when y'all was roommates. But I do
You
remember
were. We
Witness
used to
Oh,
Trinity
sing that stuff.
357,
yeah. And
which
what
I
what
think they
is
were technically gospel.
I can't remember that the quartet group that we would always, what's it, the Truth that Rhonda
Tutu is here. Tutu and the Truth is.
oh my
She's
goodness.
actually here in Fayetteville.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, so it's
I don't
just,
want
oh
no
my
peanut butter and
God.
jelly.
Come on,
I want my
somebody. My Lord.
Soul
to
to
be
be saved.
saved. Good children.
And some of the songs, like, where did you get that from? I don't want to be no. That's what it's.
She was
Oh
like,
my
okay,
They
I'm
goodness.
were
from mama.
quartet. They told a story.
Yeah.
Oh my
Bring
God.
back
But it
wild
would kill
gospel.
it. Huh?
Bring back
Come
Wow,
wild
on.
gospel.
gospel.
Yes.
That's how you all the hits.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I remember back in the day having so many when the CDs was well, first it was tapes, then CDs, having a whole
Yes.
book of
I did
CDs.
Yeah.
too.
No,
Oh
remember
my
we used to
goodness.
get the
We used to
what is it?
buy music with the
BMG. Well, who was it? BMG,
inserts.
BMI? The company that used to send the tapes to you.
BMI.
Yeah, the 10
BMI.
cents for what the
Yes.
people, yeah, it was like
That's
10
how I
for,
got my first Yolanda Adam tape.
come on, somebody. Oh my gosh, like the memories. Oh,
Yes.
yes, I remember Jesus can't work it out. Like my mama,
Yes.
they choir sung
Yeah.
that, and
In Chicago.
oh my goodness,
We
like,
sang it too.
and that's crazy. That's what the gospel music was essentially started. Like the bustling movement of it was in Chicago. But oh my god, it's just so it's just so many. Like gospel
Yeah.
music is nostalgic. It is, Lord, soul stirring. It's oh my goodness, it's just all of the things. It ain't going nowhere. I don't care what you say.
Nowhere.
So
Nowhere.
Not as long as we alive, we still
come on,
plastic.
It's here to stay.
somebody. Exactly. It is here to stay. And that's how it should be. Yeah. All right. Well, that has been another episode of the Truth Reveal podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us. If you've made it to the end of this episode, thank you. It was a great conversation, so I hope you stayed for it. All right. If you have not already, go to social media, like, subscribe. Please share this episode with somebody you don't know. We would greatly appreciate your support. Go and like us on social media. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and all of the things, and just wherever you get your podcasts. If you're not watching us on YouTube, go and subscribe and rate us as well, so that we can be moved up in the rankings, so that other people can be made more visible to our podcast. So even though don't nobody know us, we can hold a good conversation, can't we? Come on, somebody. I need y'all to push us out there now.
Yeah.
But
Good marketing. It's good marketing.
exactly. But thank you for hanging out with us. God bless you. Good night.
Good night.